Okay, we're opening the meeting for Columbia 911 Board of Directors and 911 Communications of District. Okay, got a roll call. I'm Dave Crawford, Board President. Please, Sean?
Sean Clark.
Okay. Okay, and
Online we have Bruce Halsey, we have Henry Heimuller, Rob Anderson is absent today. Staff, we have in the building, myself, Mike Fletcher, Director, Laura Marzilli, Operations Manager, Nancy Edwards, CFO, Mary Jo Beck, Admin Assistant. Nathan is in his office, Nathan Hughes, Technical Manager. I see Keisha Comfort has logged in. We have citizen Tyler Miller.
okay. Admin staff may assist to acknowledge the agency staff members
Yep.
being present for the record.
So we're going to drop down here.
Okay. Is there any member of the public who would like to address the board?
Hearing none.
Hearing none, we'll move ahead to additions to the agenda. Are there any additions to the agenda that need to be made?
I have a request of Henry and Bruce. At the conclusion of this meeting, are you available to hold over for a few minutes for us to talk personnel committee work?
Sure.
Thank you, Henry.
Yes, I'm available.
Thanks, Bruce. We'll keep it brief.
Okay.
No other additions, Mr. Crawford?
Okay. Approval of meeting minutes, excuse me. I'll accept a motion for approval of meeting minutes of December 10, 2020.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, call for a vote. We're all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Motion passes. Okay. And under financial reports,
We're going to go right here first.
okay. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Appointment of new advisory committee members. Mike?
Yes, sir. So we've had some changes in some user agencies, and we had a couple vacancies for the advisory committee. So today we're seeking a motion for appointments. They are as follows: for Columbia County Emergency Management, the primary is Sean Brown. We do not have an alternate as of yet. For Columbia River Fire and Rescue, Chief Joel Medina, and an alternate of Eric Smythe. And Scappoose Rural Fire Protection District, primary is Jeff Pritchard, and the alternate is Josh Marks. We would accept a motion at this time.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept
Appointments.
the appointments, and All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion passed.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Next is financial reports. Acceptance of budget variance. So I'm open to a motion for acceptance.
Mr. Chair, I just, I thought last month we had approved the November one. Please refresh my memory. Are we supposed to approve both Novembers and Decembers?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. This will be for November's and December's then.
Okay, I move that we approve the budget variance reports for both months as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion passes. Approval of expenditures. I'll accept a motion for acceptance of this. Yep, of this, oh jeez. Anyway, I will accept a motion for acceptance.
Mr. Chair, I move acceptance of the expenditure report for check number 29927 through check 29972 and the electronic funds displayed as presented here for an amount of $461,261.08.
Second.
Sean, it should go to 29995.
Oh, thank you. My fault. Amended.
Okay,
You catch that, Mary Jo? Okay.
Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.
okay. There was a second? I was,
No, sir.
okay.
Yes, I second it.
Oh, thank you, Henry.
Okay, thank you. We'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Oops, excuse me.
No opposed?
None opposed. Motion passes. Appointment of budget officer, Nancy?
Normally, annual at this time, we appoint a budget officer for the upcoming year, 21-22.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And who is generally?
Normally, it's me.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yes.
So,
Mr. Chair, I'll move to appoint Nancy Edwards as the budget officer for the 21-22 fiscal year.
I'll second that.
okay, it's been moved and seconded. Call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion passes.
Congratulations.
Again.
Yeah, I don't know. The ultimate power.
Okay, and the next one down is business mileage rate adjustment. Nancy?
The rate was 57.5 cents for 2020. It has decreased to 56 cents per mile, and then per standard of the board, you'd like to approve that rate every year.
Okay,
I'll move approval of the IRS mileage rate as presented.
is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We'll go on to the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Are there any opposed? Hearing none, we will,
Pass that.
it passes, the motion passes. Okay, technical manager report, Nathan?
We're going to go with operations manager.
Oh, okay, operation manager.
So no changes with staffing, and we did have a candidate in the background process who's since washed out. So we closed our last recruitment end of December. From that,
Laura, this is Henry. I'm having a difficult time hearing you.
let me come over closer to the group. All right. So no changes in staffing. We did have a candidate in the background process who's since washed out. So we closed our application process December 31st. We had 34 applicants. 3 of those did not meet the minimum qualifications. And the remaining 31 were invited to do the first skills-based testing, and 11 did not complete that. So we're working through the results on the other ones who did, and going to be moving forward in the process. Inquiries, 2 external, 1 internal. The externals were both sustained performance, and then internals in progress. And miscellaneous stuff, just to update on the scheduling software that you guys approved a few months ago. We are working on the implementation, doing all the behind the scenes work, and we're hoping to go live in March or April sometime. And the only other thing I had was our QI renewal, but we're going to talk about that in new business.
Okay, thank you.
One question. What was that software's name?
What was the what?
Sorry, Bruce.
I was just curious what the software's, the name of it is. Just out of curiosity. I
Schedule
forgot.
Express.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on to technical manager report. Nathan?
So it's been a busy couple months getting all these projects either started or wrapping up. So our networking project is coming to its end. They're here today finishing up some last pieces of the project. Lighting project is on hold while we wait for one of their employees to heal after an injury. Security project is ongoing, and they just started this week getting the devices installed. And as for your guys' devices, they are all configured and ready to pick up. So if you want to give me an email or call, text, we can schedule time to give you your iPads and get your old ones.
Okay.
I'm happy
So
to
just-
report that I've picked up the device and it's working swimmingly. Thank you, Nathan.
Excellent, excellent.
No problem. They're a little bit different, though, as Sean will probably attest to.
In a good way.
All right. Move on to old business.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mike?
So, a lot of things to talk about. The existing radio system. Dixie Mountain, working with Day Wireless for next steps of installation. It is a bit of a kabuki dance, moving equipment that is live, and we need to run in parallel while we make physical moves. Continuing to work with M&I, we have the microwave paths and equipment identified. Now we're working on just the budgetary costs of the microwave connections. At the same time, we're having those conversations with M&I. Obviously, we're running a pathway from the Dixie Mountain site to the 911 center here. But in addition, we're seeking a pathway from the 911 center to the new WACA facility. And the purpose of that connection, that microwave connection, is to fly CAD data over air versus relying on the fiber connection underground. So we're also calculating those pathways and the costs associated with that. So while the first one from Dixie to here for radio is the primary, we're also looking at the future next step for connecting over into Washington County. Nothing new on the Buxton and Cornelius Pass. Those constructions are ongoing. The next gen radio system, had a very good conversation with emergency management. We discovered that there was a parallel effort taking place. They were conducting research for a countywide radio system. There was an apparent breakdown in communications between the prior emergency manager and staff. We've corrected that. We're going to work together because the county is required to have a communications plan, a comm plan. And our system and the system planning dovetails perfectly with that. So I'm working with Sean, and we're including a process to spell out a comms plan for the county based on the public safety radio system that we're intending to install. So that's good. Clatskanie site. Nothing new from Washington State Patrol. However, have had ongoing conversations with the University of Oregon regarding the seismic equipment that they've been planning on putting up there. They've made some changes to their plans. They've worked with Weyerhaeuser, the owner of the dirt, and gotten approvals. And just last week we had updates about the placement. They will no longer need electrical from us. They're going to utilize solar panels on that site, and so really it just comes down to working with them for their construction as well as a placement of an antenna on our tower, and we have Day Wireless involved with that coordination as well. The microwave upgrade to the Green Mountain and Clatskanie sites is ongoing. Construction actually started about a week ago. We were hoping to be completely done and cut over as of yesterday. However, the snow events takes precedent, and so that's been delayed. I have an update conference call with all the parties this afternoon to get an update, but that's most of it's done, but there are some finishing stuff that they do have to do on the tower, and until the weather improves up there snow-wise, it's kind of on hold. I'll let you know as I find out later today. Meisner site improvements. So, as you're aware, we went before the land use hearing earlier this month. We received approvals of that. So we're moving into the next phase. There's some incidental paperwork that ODF needs to sign off on. They have those documents. They're in Salem right now. They're just waiting for a sign off, and then they'll be shipped right back to us. The engineering firm is moving into the construction planning. We have all the appropriate documents for the tower and the shelter, and they're confirming their certifications. And then we're doing site plans, working with ODF and the engineering firm, who will be if you'll recall, the engineering firm is the turnkey. They're running the construction site as well as the PM. So that's ongoing. Expected timeline, being realistic, it won't be construction turning dirt until late spring, early summer. Part of that's weather, part of that's availability of equipment, so we'll keep you posted on that as well. ASA work. As a reminder, the 911 district is the author of the ASA plan for the county, working with public health and the EMS providers of the county. That's ongoing. The last really pieces that I had to fill in, which had to do with the boundaries for the ASAs, and most of it is done. I sent out a reminder to 2 fire districts earlier this week. Scappoose Fire District, we need some finalization on their agreed ASA boundaries with Multnomah County. And Clatskanie Fire, we still need some finalized agreements on the boundaries between Clatskanie and Miss Birkenfeld. Nathan talked a little bit about facility upgrades. Yes, so the flooring work is completely done. It looks fantastic. He mentioned the lighting. We're just waiting on a person, and security is in progress, and I'll have some updates later in the executive session on that. I'm looking at my agenda here. Cyber liability coverage. We did move forward with our insurance broker and are in process of getting that signed off and accounted for. Also want to mention that February 3rd and 4th, SDAO is having their conference. It's all virtual this year. It's free. And so we wanted to remind board members who are interested in attending that's taking place. Am I missing anything? Any questions?
Any questions for Mike? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business.
New business. I'm going to take a couple minutes here. There's a couple of things to go over. One is a late addition, which is the renewal for our RQI both system, software system and services. RQI is our resuscitation quality improvement that we have been working with for the past year. 2 years. Wow, time flies. So it's up for renewal. The original, there's a couple things. The rate went up about $400 for the program. We have an option for a 2-year term versus a single. It's at the pleasure of the board. The other part of the quote is a addition, and it's the quality improvement, quality assurance piece. We need one, and RQI puts us on a good starting block for a quality improvement program, and so that's the addition to this quote. It's an additional $6,750. So depending on the pleasure of the board, we could do a 2-year term. The total is $28,350, or if you prefer, a single. They did give us some discounts this year as a recurring customer. And to remind the board, the benefit that we're seeing is the staff really enjoys it. The company thinks very highly of our program and our staff, and our improvement, quality improvement over our starting point is in the 80th percentile, so substantial improvements. We'd like to keep that going.
Mike, is that something the board could see? I mean, as far as you say that, but what, I mean, just the metrics of it, as far as, you know, what's improving?
So they give us, Laura's going to come to the microphone and speak to a little bit about their ongoing quarterly reports. And
Yeah, so
Laura.
we receive quarterly reports for them. It scores the dispatchers in their scenarios that they do and how they performed there. They get immediate feedback during those scenarios. The one in December was for cardiac arrest for a pediatric. And so those are not calls that we ever get. We don't want to get, but so those are good to practice and then get that feedback on and know where to improve, so it's not as scary when you're taking a real one for the first time. So we get feedback on those, and then we also submit our confirmed cardiac arrest cases to them for review, and they review all of those calls that we take, and they have the same measurable grading that they use for the scenario, and then we get reports on those. I shared a little bit with the yearly update that we had received, and I think our improvement from our baseline assessment, all of our calls that I had sent them prior to our performance over that first year that we had, and we had increased by 82%. So when I first got here, hearing people take these calls, You could tell there was hesitation. They just weren't sure if they should be starting CPR instructions, and sometimes the callers aren't sure. And we were doing over verification of breathing status on things, and it's night and day difference. People are jumping into CPR instructions far sooner than we ever were before, which is buying our responders time while they get there. So really, we're doing an excellent job of kind of our piece and our role in that whole chain of survival. So, and as you know, out here, response times are a little bit longer than they are in other areas. So it's good that we're starting that sooner. RQI provides feedback at any time. We've had dispatchers email our coach directly and ask questions about a call they had taken to get feedback or ideas or suggestions. So there's definite value in the program and continuing. So, yeah.
I think, my point was, for a $28,000 or $14,000 a year subscription, it might be nice for us to see some detail.
Yeah, I can share the report with you that we got after a year.
I don't mean to do data overload for everybody,
Yeah.
but just curiosity how we're improving.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That would be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, this is Henry. I am a little bit confused. It sounds more like this is a training tool versus an actual, because don't we have the EMD or the dispatch cards that or whatever they call them nowadays for the dispatchers to use to prompt them through CPR instructions and first aid instructions and all of that stuff. We used to call them cards. I don't know if that's what it still is, but
Yep.
How does this tie in with our program for actual instruction?
So you are correct. This RQI is both. There is the training component. That's the RQIT learner subscription. And that is that ongoing practice through scenarios and reviewing of our actual real calls and critiquing those, providing constructive criticism and instruction. The other part of it is the actual quality, the QA/QI portion, and that's the new addition for this year, or the proposed, and that is actually the quality assurance piece, measuring our performances. Anything else you could add to that, Laura?
Yeah, so our cards, yes, they give us the instructions, but RQI digs deeper in that as far as recognizing cardiac arrest calls sooner, how to handle different kinds of callers, different issues that may come up during those calls, whether they be positional challenges or somebody doesn't know where they're at, so you're struggling for a location, but yet you need to start CPR, you have somebody who's not able to perform CPR, just a bunch of different things. So that's all stuff we're not going to get with our cards. The other thing that I think has been valuable is our coaches have actually provided us feedback on some of our cards on things that we could change and improve. So those I reviewed with Dr. Sasek, and those changes are being implemented as well. So not only is it training, quality assurance, but they're also helping us continue to improve our systems as well. So.
Keeping it up to standards, current standards.
Yeah. Well, and really we're above standards
Good.
on our performance.
Excellent.
We're meeting those benchmarks by a lot. So that's good.
I guess I need just a little more clarification on what this upgrade is that they're suggesting.
So I believe the change, so when we first started, we were the first to enroll in this program. So there's been a lot of growth within RQI and their systems and everything that goes along with it. So because we were the first, we got a considerable discount, and they had kind of lumped our initial fees in with the QI and the learning piece of it. That was just one. So now they're breaking them out and billing them separately because, if some agencies, they may only have 15 employees as we do, but then they may take 100 calls. So then they're going to change that rate based on 100 calls for review. They're charging us for 50 per year. So that's kind of what our average has been. In the beginning, we had a little bit of a guesstimate based on prior, but I had a hard time determining what was truly a confirmed cardiac arrest call. So over these last 2 years with all the data and the calls that we provided to them, that's how they made that assessment.
So again, Henry, the APCO EMD cards are guides on how to ask questions for all calls, medical calls, and to determine the correct response call type and priority level. But while it is tied into RQI, because RQI is all about medical, at the APCO portion does not have any quality assurance component to it. And that's what RQI is doing. They focus mostly, exclusively on cardiac arrest, but within that call taking, all callers interrogation portion of RQI, we're learning other things about our performance and how we can improve things. So that's the QI, quality improvement, QA, quality assurance part, in addition to performance.
I'm just a little confused, so I'm not going to argue the point, on what they've been providing versus what they intend to provide. And it seems like if we were the first, we maybe helped them with the development of their product, and now they're turning around and wanting to charge us more for the privilege of having done so. But I may just be hearing that wrong.
So,
I do have a question on it too. So, has any other district or anything used their their QI or QA? Because if this is an addition to, it sounds like they want a 2-year agreement. But if we've never had that portion, I almost question doing 2 years, locking it in versus 1 year trying it, then seeing if it works.
Yeah, it is. In their quote, it's quoted out at 2 years terms.
And we did on the original.
Did-
as well.
did we
It's a
on-
2-year commitment.
Okay.
so my another question is, if we do 1 or 2 years with the QI piece, would we stop, that portion of the subscription once we get our QI dialed in, or?
No, because I think it should be continuous. We're going to have new staff coming on, and also, too, just continuing to learn. Some of the scenarios they have used for us are related to some of the calls that we've taken and situations we've been in. So they're getting information to help us by doing both pieces, the training, but then also the QI.
The other question is the discount, because they show up in the top the discount price on each line item there, but if we did just do 1 year, would the discount still apply, do you know, or?
I can find out.
Oh, I'm just to Bruce's point, I guess.
And that's what I wanted to make sure I'm hearing. There is some hesitation on the second part, the QA, QI part, if I'm reading between the lines correctly. And then the next question is, if we move forward on the normal learner subscription that we've been doing for 2 years, go back to them and ask, can we do a 1 year on the QI, QA part, because we haven't had that before? Is that what I'm hearing?
I think for me that would probably work. My only concern though is so there's still a administrative element to this program besides them just QA-ing and QI-ing without any of our employees having a hand in it.
Laura is the administrator here, so she provides the calls from Columbia 911, the real calls. She provides those to RQI. The scenarios come from the RQI company itself, and then all of the dispatchers, call takers are involved monthly.
Yeah, and then on their, for those calls that I do review, that I submit to RQI, we usually have about a 24-hour turnaround for the rating scoring of the QI of those. And so what I do is we schedule the employee whose call it was, time off the floor, and RQI's provided us a special computer, they go to that, they're provided the audio to the call, and then they re-listen to their call with the review, and it's time-stamped. Everything on there is time-stamped and all the feedback, and so they're also getting a review of their call in a private setting so that they can see that.
Does that satisfy your question, Bruce?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just wasn't quite sure how that system worked. I'm still a little bit hesitant on doing a 2-year contract with them on a new piece that you guys haven't participated in yet. That's just my personal opinion.
We've been participating in it. It's just they're changing the billing of how they do it. So nothing for us is going to change going forward. We're still going to be getting the same things. They've just changed the billing on it, is my understanding.
So this term starts actually July?
Summer, yeah.
Yeah, July. So why don't we get some answers from RQI and come back to you next month with some clarifications? That would be helpful.
That would be helpful for me. I'm still struggling with, I guess the 28,350 on here is for the full 2 years, but it doesn't spell that out really well. And my other question for them would be, it seems like if it's the exact same price to do a 1-year contract as it is to do a 2-year contract, why would we wrap our money up for that second year rather than redoing it every year? If there was a significant discount for a multi-year contract, that's certainly an incentive to do multi-year.
Noted. We'll come back to you next month with an update.
And I'm all about improving our resuscitation efforts for sure.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so we'll
Table that.
table that until next meeting.
Yep. The next order of business in front of you is a renewal of our net motion. So we're going to go backwards a little bit in time. We removed so our ability to transmit CAD data from the 911 center to the end users, the providers, police officers, their MDCs in their vehicles, fire apparatus, and EMS apparatus. Their mobile data computers need a middleware between the center and their devices, and that has been in the past. We've used VRMs and we've used radio IP. And a year ago we moved to NetMotion, and it's time for renewal. So the district made an investment in the server and the software. The other component of NetMotion is it requires a individual license for every device. So every computer that's out there touching NetMotion and touching CAD. So this renewal is for those licenses for the devices. A year ago, the board approved the purchase of the servers, the software, the training, and these licenses. And the conversation a year ago was that the district would fund the first year mobile licenses, and that we would review this after a year, whether the district was going to continue to fund those devices or pass those costs on to the agencies themselves. The advisory board met earlier this week, and I sought their advice on this topic. There wasn't a whole lot of conversation. It was much like what I just did with you, walked them backwards. The only comment that was made was that the price, which is $115 per device per year, was a bargain. That's a direct quote. And everyone else, all the users, and we had very good participation. We had multiple law agencies, multiple fire agencies there, and everyone else remained silent. So again, I'm coming to the board to seek your pleasure, whether we, as a district, pay this bill. I mean, regardless, we're gonna pay the bill. The question is do we just absorb that cost, or do we pass on a bill to the end users based on their device accounts?
Mike, would it be possible to split it with the agencies? So take the cost of every license and just split it between us and the agencies?
If that's your pleasure.
I kind of feel like we made this decision a year ago. I think I don't know why we're revisiting it. I mean, we signed up for it. If it's working and everything's doing what it's supposed to do, we did all the initial costs. We put all the infrastructure in. We paid the first year's costs as we said we were going to do. I don't know why we wouldn't pass that on, but that's just my thought.
So just the director to the board here, it's kind of a philosophical question too. I mean, we're going to do whatever it is you like. We're happy to pass on the cost. We're happy to pay the bill and absorb it if that's your pleasure. But it goes to a larger issue that we're going to be looking at is where is the demarc line between the services that we provide, which are taxpayer funded, versus passing them on to our user agencies, which are taxpayer funded. I mean, it's kind of a rob Peter to pay Paul when we're all in the same business, but the other side of the coin is we don't own the computers in those vehicles. We have no control over them. We provide them CAD software for them at no cost. We absorb that cost. But the transmission, the cellular transmission is on them, so they have their devices with air cards. They're paying that. And we have to have this middleware that's a security system. It provides encryption, and it protects them and us. And so there's a valid argument that they should pay for that because it's their devices. So I'm just putting that out there on the table. I have no energy one way or the other.
I'm of the opinion it does seem like a bargain, and we have no control, like you said, over the devices that agencies use, and what's to say that the next device that comes out, has to have some kind of workaround, and, if they want to change devices, they should be responsible for changing the interconnect, I think. So I'm kind of with Henry. I think we pass it on. I mean, I agree with your, it's taxpayer money, but let's let them have some skin in it, I think.
Any other comments? Okay. So, what do we
So,
want to do? A motion?
Motion, so for the vote that we either absorb it or we pass it on, whichever is
Okay.
the pleasure of the board.
Okay.
But just to be clear, we funded the first year.
Yes.
Okay. Like we said.
Yep.
Got it.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the expenditure to CDWG in the amount of $17,265 as their bill presents, and then pass those costs on to our user agencies as agreed.
I'll second that.
Moved
Okay,
and
it's been
seconded.
moved and seconded. We'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed?
I'm a nay.
Okay. So there's one nay. The motion passes.
Actually, Dave, you need to vote.
What's
You
that?
vote. You have to vote.
Oh, I have to
We
vote?
need to have three.
Okay, I will vote for the motion. I think there's value in in having direct responsibility for what you're using. So, just my opinion. Okay? So, it passes 4-1.
3-1.
3-1.
3-1, excuse me.
Okay. Moving on. There's a D.
Okay. Director's updates.
And I think I've spoken to all the things that I needed to speak to the board about. So
Okay.
we could move on to
Okay, we'll move on to, we need to close the
we're going to
regular
recess.
session. Yeah.
We're going to
we're
go
gonna
into recess.
the business meeting and move forward to executive session
Under
under ORS 192.660, section 2D, E, F, and N, security programs.
Okay, here it comes.
Okay.
So we
Hang on.
re-enter.
So, yep. Okay, so
Re-enter new business.
so we are out of executive session and back into regular board session.
Correct.
And it's 10:03.
10:03.
So then, if there are any,
Oh, is there any other business? Oh, okay, yeah, any other business to be discussed?
I have a member comment report. Some of you may know Craig Allison with the Port of Columbia County. He's our Deputy Director / Operations Manager. He is retiring in April, and with that, Doug Hayes, the Executive Director, has decided to make me the Deputy Director, which is typically a title thing, but you act in their behalf when they're gone, able to sign some things. But I should be keeping my Port Westward duties for the foreseeable future, as we are going to hire some backfill for his operations manager side. So I don't expect it to impact my position here, as we're very keen on having people involved civically and other public boards and stuff. So just wanted to report that, and if you see that, you shouldn't be concerned that I'm going to have to drop off the board or anything anytime soon.
congratulations.
Thank you.
That's great.
Congratulations, Sean. I'll have to send Doug a card telling him what a great choice he made.
Well, we have Craig's been amazing. You know, just since I've been with the port for 6 years, he's going to be irreplaceable. It's going to be tough, and he's the last holdout of institutional knowledge that we have over there, except for our commissioners. So it's going to be a big loss for us. But thank you.
Yeah, Craig's been great to work with.
Yes.
Okay. Any other business to be discussed? Hearing none.
Any agenda items for our next board meeting, which is Thursday, February 25th? If you have anything you'd like to have added, please let us know.
Okay.
And before we go to other members' comments, I also just want to thank everybody again, staff. I know you're busier than heck trying to get the payroll stuff done for the year and everything that goes on, and remote working and things like that. I haven't heard anything as far as any reduction in service or anything like that. So I think that's a good testament to how you've worked out keeping the wheels on the bus. So thank you all.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Henry, I'd like to, under member comments, I would like to thank you for the card that you sent to Mary and myself on my brother's passing. He didn't suffer, and I'm just thankful for that.
Well, we appreciate that, and I've been keeping you in our thoughts and prayers.
Thank you, sir. And thanks the board for your consolations as well. Okay, any other members for member comment?
Just a question for Mike. Did you want Bruce and I just to stay on this meeting for the Personnel Committee discussion?
If you could, please, I'd appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other member comments?
Nope.
Hearing none,
Close out the meeting.
close the meeting and I'll seek a motion to dismiss.
So moved.
It is done.
Done.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. And Bruce and Henry will be with you in just a moment.